In Canada, whiskey has to be in a barrel for a minimum of 3 years to be called whiskey. And that's a problem for us because, we have to keep the lights on in the meantime. So in the meantime, you want to make products that don't have to be aged. You make your vodka, you make your gin. We've made this rum, we try and make all the flavored products, the double-double, things that don't have to go into a barrel and age. A lot of distilleries, if they don't diversify like that, don't make it to the 3-year mark where their whiskey's aged. And the whiskey normally you can sell for a little bit more, just because there's more time and more effort invested into it. So if you can get to year 3 and get to whiskey, usually you're not going to lose your house in the investment you've made in your distillery. So thank goodness we made it there. Remembrance Day of 2017, our first barrel of whiskey was ready to go, so we're very proud to have our Bar M whiskey. I've got a fairly diverse work background. One of the things I've done for a long time is worked as a tattoo artist for actually 24 years. I don't do it very much anymore. I've got a little private studio, and Mitch, he lost his granddad. He wanted to do a memorial tattoo. His granddad was a welder, so we came up with this design that we worked out together. Mitch has done a lot of things to help us and help the distillery, so I wanted to do something back for him, so we did this tattoo for him, and I think he's really happy with it. Mitch, how you doing, buddy?
How are you, Jeff?
Pretty good. Good to see you, man. You all set for this today? Yeah. Good to see you.
You too.
Yes. So this is a memorial tattoo for your granddad that we're doing. So I got your design here. I assume from what you sent me, your granddad was a welder. And if you want, we can add his dates in there like we were talking about.
Yeah.
You got a little saying we want to add there. Yeah. And I think there's room in here. What do you think on the bicep?
That should look good. Whatever you think.
I think right up under here. And then when you flex those big pipes, he'll be looking right at you. Perfect. We're gonna catch some fish or what? It's Friday. We can't work too hard on Friday. When I started doing this back in the early 90s, tattooing wasn't very popular back then. I had to learn from an old biker. Yeah, when I first started tattooing, it seemed kind of weird to people that, I'd clean teeth in the morning and I did tattoos in the afternoon, but when you think about it, there's actually a lot of similarities between the two. They're both little finicky hand-eye coordinated jobs where you can't make any mistakes at all. They're both things where you're trying to get a guy through something that's not the most comfortable as comfortably as possible. They're both people businesses. All right, brother, here we go. Ready? The reason that whiskey is named Bar M is that's actually my grandfather's cattle brand. His first name was Morley. On the Big Red Barn at the farm, his brand was painted in bright white on the red barn, bar with an M underneath. And I spent a lot of time on that farm in my youth and actually in my middle years helping out and harvesting. My grandfather, we lost him here last year, so I wanted to pay tribute to him and to all the other farmers that have worked like he did from the age he was 13. He took over the farm until he was 83 years old and he couldn't do it anymore. So 70 years working at a passion that he has. We're working at a passion that we have. There's a marriage there that happens for sure. And if you come to the distillery, you'll see that the big still that we have there, we've actually dedicated to my grandfather and named it Mighty Morley. It's our workhorse just like he was. In our tasting room, you'll see on the front of the bar, burnt into the barn board, his brand, and he actually branded that himself when we first got started. Sean, our welder, fired up the Targa torch and heated up the branding iron, and my granddad branded the bar in a couple places. We actually invite some of our other farmers that have brands to put their mark on there too, the guys we buy grain from. A lot of hard-working people out here. And like we've said before, you know, this is all about family and community, and it's just one more way we can bring everybody together. This is better technology. It's not as hard on the skin, puts color in real nice. Heals about 3 times faster as the old electromagnet style. The weird thing about this kind of machine is it doesn't make any noise. So Mitch won't be able to hear me coming. There's some rum distilleries that actually take their barrels of rum and sink them under a fishing net in the ocean and let them rock back and forth, and they swear that that helps the rum age actually.
Yeah.
And I know there's a Scotch distillery that they bury their barrels in the sand right at the high tide mark.
Yeah.
And the pressure of the water coming in and out helps them age faster too, actually. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Well, buddy, you sat like a champ today. All right, I'll let you ooze a little bit, and then we'll bandage her up for you. All right, brother. There you go. So this is Cilantro Chive in Lacombe. Huge supporters of craft industries in Alberta. They carry craft beer, pretty much everyone in Alberta. They carry craft spirits as well. They were one of the first places to put our liquor in. They do something pretty unique. They have a flight of Caesars here. So they have 4 different craft distilleries products they use to make a really fantastic experience if you haven't had all these different types of Caesars. One of the owners of Cilantro and Chive, Riley, came over to our booth and we got chatting a little bit. They had just started their restaurant at that time. You know, sometimes personalities just mesh, and ours did. Riley took the time to drive up from Red Deer and come check our place out. Bought a bunch of alcohol to stock his bar with. And since then, he's become one of the biggest supporters of craft spirits and craft beer in all of Alberta. People will drive from Edmonton down to Lacombe to their restaurant, Cilantro and Chive, just to try these local things that they're stocking and these creative dishes that they come up with. They have these duck wings that are just phenomenal. The Cilantro and Chive guys here are really big supporters of craft, as I said before, throughout the province. We can make a custom cilantro vodka if you want.
So cool.
So all they did was bring us stuff from their kitchen.
No kidding.
So you pick what flavor profile you want to create, and we can do some pretty cool things, because we don't have to answer to corporate either. Duck wings, garlic vodka Caesar. Cilantro and Chive are doing it right. Mitch, that crazy Cape Brettoner, the Caper I call him, he's a guy that does a few things other than weld too. And one of them is he does a little bit of guiding for fishing. Right on the North Saskatchewan River that runs right through Edmonton here. A lot of people don't realize there's a great fishery there. You know, they have northern pike, they have walleye in there, goldeye. I used to catch them on the fly rod when I was a kid. And there's some sturgeon making a comeback in there. So we went out to see what we would hook into. Mitch brought the boat, all the gear, that sort of thing. My uncle happened to be in town from the Maritimes, from New Brunswick, and so got him along with my dad, and we went out there to see what we would catch. And we had a little bit of luck.
Good way to do
All right,
it.
well, let's go fishing, eh?
All right, wait.
Bon voyage!
You know, Mitch, he's a guy that finds deals everywhere he goes, and sometimes the deal's too good to be true, so I think he's having a little bit of trouble with that jet boat engine there. You know, we were in a little regular outboard motor putting along and not making very much speed, but we were making more speed than him when his fancy jet boat wasn't running.
Don't worry, Kate, but we're getting her all on film, buddy.
Beautiful.
Once he got it running, he went whipping by us like we weren't even moving, but at least I'll take that reliable engine over something that's a little bit temperamental any day. My dad knows Mitch a bit. He didn't really know what to expect when Mitch offered to take him out guiding. He'd phone me and ask me several times, you know, is this going to be good? You know, Uncle John's going to be in town, and we want to make sure that this is good, and he catches a fish, and it's a good experience, and that sort of thing. Mitch says, don't worry about it. He's got it under control.
Oh. Go ahead, keep reeling. Keep that tip up and just keep reeling.
I think everybody was really impressed that we had success fishing, and especially when Mitch pulled out the barbecue and set it up right on the bow of the boat and started cooking up some moose meat that he had actually harvested that moose last year. Just a fantastic meal that we had. You know, So lots of times when you're fishing, you go to shore and have a shore lunch. Even better to make it right on the boat. Rough day at the office. So you'll be happy to know that yesterday we got our beer license.
Shut the front door.
Yes.
Are you brewing beer?
We're
now
going,
too?
yes.
You guys are crazy. I love it.
Why not, right?
I love it.
I had a spare hour too. Duck wings at Cilantro and Chive. They're good. They're the best wings I've ever had in my life. Well, thanks again for your continued support.
I appreciate
You betcha.
guys coming out.
Cilantro and Chive is the only restaurant bar in Alberta that's carrying our Bar M whiskey. And they really like to be first at things, kind of like we do. We're proud to support them every chance we get. Cilantro and Chive have been very creative. They've created a couple interesting food and drink experiences there. One is they do a flight of Caesars. So they have 4 different vodkas from local craft distilleries where they'll prepare you 4 half-size Caesars so you can try the different types of vodka from each one. So our garlic vodka is featured in there. And then also their signature Caesar is made with our garlic vodka, and it eats like a meal. It actually has a cheeseburger on the top of it, an amazing number of garnishes, and they've won awards with it in competitions for Caesars, actually. If you're going to Cilantro and Chive, have the duck wings, have the Caesar that eats like a meal. If you can finish it, it's huge.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing?
Good, you?
Good. This is Kevin from Timberland Supply. He was kind enough to drop us our saws off today to get the blocking process started on the Humboldt carving. She's had a good life, I think. A little underpowered now. I think it's time for a new one to help us out here.
Looked like it's had a good life, but
Yeah.
good news. I think I got something in the truck
Perfect.
that'll get you by.
Well, I think that should get the job done faster and cleaner. Well, I really appreciate you guys'
Hey, no
donation to
problem.
the project.
No problem at all.
That should be fantastic.
All right, have a good
Take
one.
care.
You too.
New equipment's wonderful. They upgraded me good.
Brand new saw.
24-inch bar.
That's how plans come together.
That's right. Alrighty.
You brought your hockey equipment too?
I did. Hockey equipment's here.
This week, Ryan's been making some good progress on the Humboldt Broncos carving, the Humboldt Angel, we're calling it. He's got an amazing talent. He can visualize the finished product before it even comes to life. I'm really excited to see what this carving is going to look like by the time it's finished.
We got a few pieces of wood for it. We're doing it in sections. Torso, pants, legs, arms are all separate. Then we're going to combine them together. Just recently got the pants roughed out to a rough size, and then we're going on to the torso to carve that separately.
Are you using Beyonce as a model for the backside here?
As I was going through the pants and making them, we found out there was bark in the middle. It was a separate piece, so it's starting to split really bad now, and it just won't work. So I went on to the other chunk of wood to start the torso. I got about a half hour into it, and I found some dry rot. So now we have to find an alternative, because I can't give a big organization a piece of crappy wood that's just going to fall apart eventually. They need the best of what we're trying to do. Luckily, after we found all this rotten wood, Jeff was in contact with a gentleman down in Red Deer, and he has kiln dried wood in slabs, and he's going to laminate them together and build big blocks so we can just carve for there, and that will reduce the cracking, and the quality of wood will be pretty supreme.
So Sean at Eco Trimmed Line in Red Deer helped us out, got us some laminated wood that won't split, gave us a hell of a deal on it actually. So we've been making some good progress. Ryan's been doing absolutely the bulk of the work on it, but now it's become a real joint project.
Yeah, I've taken on the body. It's a lot of work, and Jeff has taken on the wings. I wouldn't have time to do it, and he's got that all planned. Go ahead.
I guess it's kind of like carving a really big duck decoy, so I got some experience doing that kind of thing.
2 different style carvers, and we're going to see what comes out of the end. I think it'll be pretty cool.
It was interesting working with a chainsaw, which I've never done before. Ryan's helped me learn a lot about that, and I thought it was going to go really, really fast because the chainsaw can remove so much material so quick, but I forgot how big this damn thing is. So at first it was hard wrapping my head around seeing the finished product in the block of wood, but as soon as I saw it, then I started being more aggressive and taking bigger chunks.
It works out well, though. He's got experience in doing feathers. I don't have that much, so I think it'll work out well.
Yeah, and Ryan's so good at doing faces and people's eyes and ears and noses that the head on this thing is looking absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
This whole body is 11 separate pieces carved alone by themselves, and they're all married together, so that's totally new for myself.
And there's 8 full trees of lumber in this thing, which is an amazing amount of wood. Yeah. I got a feeling that we're going to be carving this thing and putting the finishing touches on it in the truck on the way to Humboldt, but September 12th is when we got to have it done and in the lobby of the Humboldt Arena. We do something different with our whiskey than a lot of other places do. We move our whiskey from barrel to barrel, and we move it from different size barrel to different size barrel. And we always use once used barrels. So what we do is we take and we put our whiskey into a used 10-gallon barrel that we get from our friends at Last Mountain Distillery in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. So this barrel, because it's small, all the chemistry that happens inside of a barrel is going to happen faster. The caramels that go in, the vanillas that go in, the smoothness that comes out of it, and the color change will all happen in this barrel in 8 months, would taste like and look like it's been in this big barrel for 3 years. So that's what we do with our whiskey. We put it in here for 8 months, then we're done with that, we take it out of there and we put it into a 25-gallon barrel. A used bourbon barrel from the distillery in Ohio that I did my apprenticeship at, Stillwrights, and that barrel will give different flavor than this first barrel did. But it will also do it rapidly because it's a smaller barrel. So the first barrel gives 2 or 3 flavors to the whiskey. The second barrel gives 2 or 3 flavors to the whiskey again, stacked on top of the first 3 flavors, and rapidly. Then we put it into a regular used either Jim Beam or Heaven Hill bourbon barrel. Again, 2 or 3 different flavors, leave it in there for a period of time. And then we finish all of our whiskeys in a used sherry cask, so a type of red wine. And that gives another 2 or 3 different flavors to the whiskey and a little bit of a red tinge. You'll notice that our whiskey has this red tinge to it. So if you do this and move it from barrel to barrel, you stack these flavors on top of one another, and at the end of 3 or 4 years, you've got a whiskey that tastes like it's 10 to 12 years old. So a lot of people don't do this, a lot of distilleries don't do this because it's very expensive. You know, the cheapest we can get these barrels used is $200. The used sherry casks are $800. So it's not a cheap thing to do, and when we move the whiskey from one barrel to the next, we always lose a little bit. It's an expensive thing to do, but we're always after the best quality product that we can make, and if this is what we have to do to make the best quality, and it's expensive, we don't care, that's what we're gonna do.
Today we're heading over to the Cedar Crest Inn at Malthurst Bay in Pigeon Lake. These guys have started to carry our alcohol and we want to support them as much as we can. I've got a little band that I play with, so I got the boys together. Bradley Tucker got a hold of some of his music industry friends. They're going to come out too, so we're going to have some great music tonight. We let a bunch of friends know. We're going to pack the place at Cedar Crest. It's going to be a party.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here tonight singing for you, telling lies, telling stories, and I did grow up on a lot of Cash and Waylon and that good stuff, and when Johnny Cash wrote Folsom Prison Blues about the worst place in the world a guy could be was in prison. But now they got worse places, and we got to drink some Righand Distillery. We got some Righand type people here? Yeah, well, there's only one place I figure worse that you could be than prison. And I thought if Johnny Cash was around these parts, around this time, he might have wrote the song a little different. Well, I hear the plane a-leaving, it's blowing out again. I ain't seen the real world since I don't know when, 'cause I'm stuck in Fort McMurray, and time keeps dragging on. But that plane keeps blowing on south to Edmonton. When I was just a baby, well, my mama told me, son, stay out of the oil patch, get an education. But I went up to McMurray to make 100 grand. Yeah, and I'd like to leave this hellhole, but my feet are stuck in oil sand. Sweet. Well, I I see the local rich boys drinking in the oil can bar. They're driving brand new 4xs and them smoking them big cigars. I'd like to find a woman, I know it just can't be. 'Cause for every single woman, well, the men, there's at least 43. And if they freed me from this work camp and that aeroplane was mine, I'd load it up with buddies, fly it south of 49, down to someplace warmer, like California. It would feel just like vacation, working only 8 hours a day. There you have it, the Fort McMurray Blues.
We've only really shown you guys snapshots of the development of this Humboldt carving. The whole project actually took almost 3 months to complete. You know, there was 5 of us that worked on it directly, and there was a team of almost 200 people that contributed both monetarily and with materials and support. So we really want to thank everybody that was part of this project. We've got it completed. We got it down to Humboldt in time for the home opener on the 12th. We were able to present it privately to the families in a secluded area of the rink, and the reception of it was absolutely overwhelming. I can tell you there was not a dry eye in that place. So thank you to everybody that helped us make that project a success.
Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed this season. We've had a lot of fun making it. And the funnest part has been all the explosions. Here's a recap of them. We want to thank everybody for watching the show that we made. You know, this was an experiment making this first season. We've had a lot of fun with it. We think it's been successful enough that we'll be able to start working on season 2. So watch for us coming back in the spring with season 2.